Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is July 4th, United States Independence Day, Wednesday. If we have enough time and we get to the news, I guess I'll explain what July 4th is, in my opinion and historically, which would be certainly an interesting thing to talk about, but not video game related, so I certainly can't put it at the beginning of the stream. Now, can I? This is certainly one of those opportunities where I could go on a rant, a slightly political rant, right at the beginning of the stream, but I don't have time for that. The Time Takers expansion came and went, and I guess they scheduled it pretty nicely to cover the length of E3, where not that many people would have played Hearthstone, and up to this point where not that many people would play because of July 4th. Although I guess it's kind of an opposite. Like, they started, I think, during E3 having this event, trying to compete with E3, but they're not competing with July 4th, so I don't know which way they're going, frankly. But I certainly did like that event. That has, however, changed our setup a little bit, so we need to play Warlock cards and Beast cards and do a Tavern Brawl. Let's double check and see what the Tavern Brawl is going to give us. Just a classic pack. We could always use more of those until we don't need any more of those. And frankly, even on my main account, once I have every single legendary for the classic set, getting classic packs is still fine because it could give me gold, or it's just going to give me dust. I feel like it would be nice if the game only gave me gold cards after I have a complete collection. Then I'd have lots of dust, and that would let me accelerate my attempt to have every single card in this game, or every single standard card in this game, but I won't do that. How much are you willing to sacrifice for power? All your spells will cost health instead of mana. Alright, and so we're going to create a deck. And since we're supposed to be playing Beast, we'll make a Hunter deck, and we'll see if this works. And this is standard, so we can kind of just take the basic things, I think. I'm playing on my Asian account, so I, for the most part, have not as much of a collection as I would like. Play those. Take that. Take that. Take that. So, I guess what I'm doing is I'm making a Beast Secrets deck. Let's see. Beast have charge. Do I really need that? Might not be a terrible thought. Double the attack and health of all minions in your hand. I don't know if that specifically needs to be in the deck. That's a nice legendary, certainly, however. That's 30. Is there anything else we'd like to get rid of? Let's see. Let's get rid of this, so I can have this. And what else? Is there anything else I'd like? No, I think that's good. Let's play. Because it's 4th of July and because the Steam sale is coming to the end, there's one more day on the Steam sale. Doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of great games. This is going to be one of those days in which I go through a lot of bad games that have been snuck out on the Steam from what I saw when I was trying to sort a little bit before starting the stream. That's also the reason why I started a little bit late today, is because of that. I finished last night playing Black Mirror 2. It's an awful game. It really should have rage quit on the game a while ago, and I just didn't do it when I should have. But I finished it. It's a horrible, like, almost exactly the same story experience as the first game, just done in a much worse way. The only thing that's slightly better in Black Mirror 2 compared to Black Mirror 1 is that you can skip the puzzles, and I took advantage of that a lot and skipped a significant amount of the puzzles in a point-and-click adventure, which tells you I'm definitely not having fun at that point. Let's see. This and this and in the turn. So yeah, I'm finished with that, which means I got the resolution and the dots per inch back up to 150% on my computer, which fixes this and just makes everything easier for me to read in general. Unfortunately, I didn't actually need to have recorded Black Mirror 2 right now at all. I should have been doing Warcraft Go and Warcraft the Temple of Osiris. Let's see. Down to 12 already. Job done. There we go. So yeah, now I need to rush to finish Warcraft Go and get that scheduled within like a week, which that's no good to make such a basic mistake. Let's do this. Darn, the echo doesn't keep the modification on it. I feel like that's a mistake. I hunt alone. I feel like it shouldn't work that way. And what else? What else? Yeah, there's not even really a lot to say at the end of playing Black Mirror 2. I was just like, yeah, this is kind of what I half thought was gonna happen. There's nothing great, nothing really happening with it. Let's see, did I play too many spells and hurt myself, or is this really just a case of more luck than anything else? Let's just stick with this though, because I need to play 12 beasts. I wanted to talk about the Steam sale and the clicker game. The clicker game is now over. Apparently, and this was never explained, I'm pretty sure I read all the instructions I could find on the clicker game, but apparently there were bosses. And maybe because my system was not clicking enough, like because the quick and dirty macro I made really wasn't clicking at all. It was only using the special abilities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to kill things. So that must have put me at some weird point, or maybe it was just a simple instance of just being really, really unlucky. I never saw a boss. I never knew that bosses existed. Nothing directly says from the wrap-up now that even fighting a boss would have more entered you in a chance to win games. They said they gave over 20,000 games away for free, which is a pretty low amount, because if there are 13 million first-time purchasers, which is what I believe we saw on the news earlier, then that is an indicator that, what is that, 13 million, even if you round that, it's like 500,000 would be well, I can't do the math. I'm too stupid to do the math right now. My point that I'm trying to make here is, if there's 13 million new people that got on Steam and bought something for the first time during this Steam summer sale during last month, and even 130,000 of that, so that would be 10% of the people played the clicker game. Well, I guess I'm using the wrong numbers, aren't I? I need to know specifically what the cost of what the number in total of users on Steam was. So yeah, I can't scientifically break this down. Let me just erase everything I said. Let's just say, in my opinion, it certainly feels like they were giving away a very small number of games at 20,000. 20,000 is not an impressive number in any form or fashion. It's just small. And like I said last stream, frankly, if they had been giving away sacks of gems, if they'd been giving away trading cards, if they'd been giving away, you know, just XP towards your level in general, so that you could have more friends, that any of those things would have been appreciated a lot more.
Faster in my swamp.
And so yeah, I'm not happy. I guess I'm a little bit happy though that it didn't take up a ton of my life, but it did take enough of time away that there certainly were a few points where I should have been recording over the course of the summer sale, and instead I was just having my macro run. I made it to level 2 on, not level 2, level 10 on the clicker. There's no reason to play this anymore, so we'll just see if we have a beast deck in ranked play. When I made it to level 10, which felt like it should have been the maximum, there was an level 11 that was double the amount of XP. I question if anybody could legitimately make it to level 11. And even at level 10, you're not getting a full collection of the customization outfits and such. I don't think they ever had any intention of allowing a single person to collect the full collection. They want those items to be, I suspect, tradable on the Steam marketplace. Let's see. So yeah, if we just play mid-range hunter here, we'll probably be fine, and then we can work our way up to a higher rank. Pretty disappointed in general with the Steam summer sale. I did go, like, basically asking for trouble. I went into Pinball Arcade and looked to see what it looks like now. What does their store page look like, and what does it look like now that almost all of their pinball tables are no longer available for purchase, since I had purchased all of them, and that was the only thing. That and one Assassin's Creed game, I think Black Flag, was the only thing I purchased for the summer sale. And still, buying all the pinball table pro packs was $200. And Pinball Arcade is pathetically empty now. They do have a new Stern bundle with like 3 new pinball tables for 3 new pinball tables. Relatively new pinball tables, not the classic ones that I would have more of an appreciation for. And they're asking for like $20 for that. Seems a little expensive. But heck, I'm committed now, and I have everything else. And there's certainly a need and a reason to start going through every pinball table at some point. I'm gonna have to make a decision as to when I want to do that, however, because I haven't thought that through. I was accelerated certainly because they were losing their license, and if they weren't losing the license, I wouldn't have bought those tables. But otherwise, looking at the wish list and looking at games, discounts were fine, but not great. Games that I want to get are in either one of 2 categories. They are wish list games, like small indie games that I'd like to cover, or they are AAA games that I'd like to have covered when they first came out. And I would really have wished that this channel had a better monetization to it, so that there was always some money in the till, some money in the budget to buy a brand new game at a brand new price. But that certainly hasn't happened and doesn't seem likely to happen. YouTubers at VidCon being very weird because it's run by like Viacom, but it still seems to pretend like it's part of YouTube, and that seems odd, like really odd that there's that split. But yeah, some Creator Insider had a bunch of creators like Boogie2988 would be the biggest one to recognize, give suggestions to new creators and what to do, and the right response to new creators on YouTube is simply don't even try. Like one of them said, don't be surprised it takes 3 years for your channel to go viral, and I was like, well, I've been running this channel for 4 years and it hasn't gone viral, so yeah. For some people, it just never happens, and for most people, it's not going to happen. All of those famous people on YouTube right now got in early, and getting in early in anything is the one thing that needs to happen, and the one thing you can't time or schedule. You just have to get lucky. Excuse me if you hear chewing. I had to take some Tums or digestives or whatever they're called. No, antacids, not digestives. So yeah, VidCon happened. There's really nothing to say there. I certainly imagined what I would do if I went to VidCon, and it would be kind of nothing. It's like, since I have no interest or desire to collaborate, and I doubt anybody would want to collaborate with such a small channel like mine, I don't have this circle of YouTube friends that the big YouTubers have where they work together. And because of that, there's not a major desire to
Job done.
Yeah, there's not a real major desire to do anything or do anything. VidCon also is kind of for kids as far as fans. Like a lot of people who went there and reported what was there. It was a lot of very young fans of like kid YouTuber channels, and so like who basically a year or two ago it would have been Logan Paul fans, and maybe now that's changed a little bit, but it's generally the same group of people over and over again. It's somebody who's popular for 1 day or 1 year. Very flippant audience that's not going to be loyal to you for very long. So yeah, I don't know what I do at VidCon. Listen to a bunch of other YouTubers who talk like they know what they're doing and what's going on when they really don't. Like, inherently, I feel like every single speech given, everything said at VidCon is at best slightly informed opinions, like, because of the way YouTube just is constantly constantly changing their algorithm and messing with things and manipulating things in secret and behind. A lot of them spiel out the same responses that YouTube video creators will say have heard from their contacts within YouTube, but I don't trust the contacts at YouTube, the support team at YouTube, to actually know what's going on. I think there are just rogue employees that are manipulating a rogue AI black box algorithm in such a way that I don't think the CEO knows what's going on. I don't think their co-workers knows what's going on. I think they just kind of can get away with doing whatever they want, and there's no oversight there to stop people from doing that.
Well played.
So what would be the con for me, frankly? I don't think any of them. I think it's a waste of time to take a break and stop recording footage just to go to a convention. I think when you look at the vast majority of people who are on YouTube and watching videos, they can't afford to travel to these conventions. So it is this kind of ego stroking thing where your biggest of your biggest fans will show up and stroke your ego, and that makes you happy and feel good. But meanwhile, you're actively ignoring and causing your channel to suffer with less content and not doing anything for the rest of your fans. So yeah, like maybe I'd go to like Anime Expo or something. I think something like that might make a little bit more sense. Honestly, Tokyo Game Show makes a lot of sense. Like if I was gonna fly all the way to Japan and see announcements for video games, that would make sense. However, going to E3, there's really no reason to do E3. There's, I believe, Gamescom in Germany. Maybe that would make sense too, but each one of those requires a lot of money and a lot of travel just to see announcements of games. Let's move forward. First game that's bad on Steam: Contact Draw: Bowling. It's a mobile game where you draw a path of a bowling alley. Basically, you draw passive a bowling ball. It's garbage, and it's 89 cents, 10% off. 161 achievements on Steam, so it's an achievement game too. I kind of want to rush through all of this. We may just end early. Either that, or I may have to take a bathroom break for a very long time. Because my stomach all of a sudden decided to be upset. We've got a game called Unborn. It's an asset flip first-person shooter, 40% off for $3.59. Yeah, I'm gonna have to run to the bathroom. Dead Island Survivors is on iOS and Apple, so they're continuing pushing the Dead Island series. Which, frankly, it's not from the creators of Dying Light, so it's not good Dead Island. So that's a problem. Yeah, I don't have anything. I need to end in this turn, and then I need to run to the bathroom, so apologies for that. Like, I don't even think I can make it through another turn. My stomach got really upset really fast, which is not super uncommon for me. I think I may have IBS or something like that, which usually isn't a problem. Alright. So, I gotta take a break. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. So I imagine we only streamed for about 10 minutes, one game, one daily quest, but it was the Tavern Brawl too. So I guess I'll merge the videos back together. Apologies for having to take a break, and no guarantee that it won't happen again. Just sometimes I don't talk about it a lot, but sometimes I barely can sit for an hour without. Basically, I assume it's IBS. Moving on though. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue playing. We need to play Warlock class cards now. We did all of the daily quests otherwise, so we'll just play Zoo Warlock and get going. And let's, for my own sanity's sake, and for the fact that I imagine that there's not too many people watching a stream that's live on 4th of July, let's try and make this stream as short as possible and go through the news. And then we'll pick it up on Friday, and I imagine not too many people will want to watch it on Friday either. I wish there was a way to pick up viewership on Friday, but also that's an impossible question, really. People go out on Fridays. It's just that simple. They've always done that for as long as there was something to do on Fridays. And it's as long as Friday is the last day of a work week for most people, or school week for kids. They are habitualized to want to do something different, which sucks. And certainly if I had more subscribers and more viewers in general, I would get at least a decent number of people on the chat on Fridays, and instead of it feeling like a completely empty experience. Whereas streams on Monday and Wednesday at least have a bit of a chance of having somebody hop on and say hi. Speaking of saying hi, I think I fixed the stream. I probably could do a little bit more to fix the chat, maybe increase the font size or something like that, but I think it's working alright as it is now. PC Gamer, today is going to be mostly PC Gamer articles, and a lot of my streams now have come down to just critiques on PC Gamer's news. I need to find a new source, a new news source to compete with PC Gamer for PC games that also doesn't have a incredibly left extremist liberal agenda in it, because the problem is all the other sources, Kotaku, Polygon, Rock Paper Shotgun, are just way worse about their SJW garbage that they constantly bring up. PC Gamer's not alone there. They do it too, but they're not as bad as most of the others. Anyways, PC Gamer has an article. PUBG PC update makes the Sandhook map prettier, adds a new PGI theme and UI options to matchmaking. Arguably, I think it's too little too late for PUBG regardless of what they add. PUBG did drop their lawsuit in Korea against Epic Games quietly without stating any reasons, which that's probably a smart move, because I don't think they were likely to win, and even if they did win, it was certainly looking bad for them regardless of how that went. The way PUBG should have played it is, as soon as Fortnite Battle Royale came out, they should have just said, we're gonna not comment on the competition, we're doing fine, we're hugely successful, we're happy for others to fill in that number 2 spot, and just make no comment whatsoever. And even if as Fortnite got larger and more popular than PUBG, you could have just ignored them and then quietly allowed your game to be in the 2 slot realistically, but claim that you're the #1 battle royale game, and just try to put a facade on it, make it look good. You got your sales, you got your money. Try to improve the game and compete a little bit. Complaining and suing didn't make you look strong, it made you look weak and out of ideas, and that's certainly what I feel like is the case. We've got a game on Steam called Bloody Sand. It looks like it's actually a decent enough first-person shooter as far as the graphics, but it probably is an asset fit. I'm gonna have to actually watch some video to see.
Someone injured?
It's 40% off for $1.19, which tells me it's probably an asset flip. Yeah, it looks like the graphics and the rendering is really, really bad on it. Yeah, it's an asset flip, but the screenshots did enough to trick me until I started seeing the game in motion, which is why Steam now requires people to have a trailer, is so you can actually see the games in motion. Let's see how it plays that way. Black Mirror 2 is a good example of that, where Black Mirror 2 in some still images looks probably a lot better than it is, but in its how you actually move around the 3D characters and how you're clicking on flat 2D images to interact, but the main characters are in 3D, is very off-putting. And Black Mirror 2 also it's rated teen for no reason. Like, you could have told a much better story, first if you had good writers, but secondly if you let the writers tell a mature story. There really was no reason. At the beginning of Black Mirror 2 there's like a photographer, blackmailer, pornographer, rapist guy, and it's only hinted at, so much so that I'm still not 100% sure that they came out and confirmed that he was blackmailing one of the female characters in the game, and it wasn't more of a case of him actually paying the female character to fulfill a rape fantasy porno shoot, because the way things were phrased, it just didn't say it clearly enough, and all of it was just hinted at and said, so there's no grotesqueness there. And then later there's a dead body that's covered in a sheet. You don't see the dead body, so no real grotesqueness there. Eventually you do see a couple of dead bodies, and they're slightly grotesque, but not as much as even the first game. And they had 8 years in between the time of Black Mirror 1 and Black Mirror 2 to make the game A, 8 years more hardcore, and B, 8 years better, and they failed on both counts. I'm surprised I even have that much to say about the game, though. I skipped so many of the puzzles and just was done with it at the end. We've got a game on Steam called 18 Floors. Let's see if this is in English. Yes, it is. It says it's an adventure indie casual game. It looks like it is a Chinese horror. 18 Floors is a VR experience combining room escape gameplay with puzzle elements. Players are transported to a mystic, foreboding space where they must cooperate. Complete interconnected puzzles to escape each sealed room. The game is comprised of multiple rooms with the Phantom Room and the Sea Express stages. And this game requires VR. It's 20% off for $11.99. It says though it's single player, so there's seems to be a mistranslation here. It implied to me that it was multiple people in VR online playing against each other, and see, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We haven't seen any real large amounts of multiplayer VR games. Multiplayer would certainly help sell the VR units if they weren't so expensive, but I certainly wouldn't spend an extra $400 or $600 on top of a $1,000 computer to play games with other people who would have to spend that same amount. There really is financially no level of entry for most people unless you're rich and all your friends are rich. That being said, 18 floors does look good, so, and it does look kind of cheap for a VR game, so keep that in mind if you already own VR or you're willing to commit to a really expensive hobby. Gematsu has an article. Manual Samuel is coming to the Switch in August. This 2016 launched adventure game goes portable. Manual Samuel is a game where you're controlling the left and right legs of the characters, and it's like QWOP, but I think maybe arguably it's probably a better implementation of QWOP than QWOP is, because QWOP is simply just trying to walk a short distance, where Manual Samuel has a whole experience there. Manual Samuel was originally launched for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and Macintosh in 2016. Let's go over to their Steam page. It's rated very positive. 83% of 368 users. Not a lot of people have reviewed it, though. So I definitely should put Manual Samuel on my wish list. Like, not a lot of people have played it or looked at it. It deserves, I think, a little bit more attention than it's gotten. It's a couple years old, so it's probably not going to be super expensive. Moving on, Gematsu has an article that says Velocity 2X is coming to Switch in August. Velocity 2X looks like it is a running platforming game. First launched on the PS4 and PS Vita September 2014, followed by the Xbox One, PC, Mac, and Linux in August 2015. And it's rated mostly positive, 77% of 35 users in the last 30 days, but it's overall 61.25%, but that's not getting broken down as how many people actually overall have reviewed it. The number of reviews on Steam are just too low. Like, where you have something like Amazon.com, where the number of reviews are arguably too high. Like, it's too high for somebody to realistically go through all of them, but it's also too high because there's a bunch of fake reviews. Here, there's just not enough of that. Yeah, it looks like Velocity 2X looks like it's a platformer, probably a Metroidvania-esque game. They say it's an action shoot 'em up, because I believe this is the game where you get in and out of your ship. Female protagonists, for whatever that's worth. Like, frankly, that's a tag that I don't think anybody should use. Like, if the story is good, there's a story rich tab already, and if the story is rich, if the story is good, I don't care if it's female, male, or alien, or something else. I would just like a diverse sampling of all. But for somebody to actually go on the Steam and say, I only want to play female protagonist games, That seems really unrealistic and not great. Even if you're like a concerned parent who wants their little girl to grow up as an empowered female, like, you could go half and half there. But if you've got your little kid playing only female protagonist video games, this one's rated E10 plus, for example, that's giving them a skewed perspective on what is expected of all females and what it is expected or what males can do. And you don't want your little girl looking down on males, saying, oh, they are the lesser gender and they can't do all the cool things that the girls can do, any more than you want little boys saying the exact same thing about females. You want a more open-minded approach. Ironically, the trailer I'm looking at is showing the people that worked on this game Velocity, and it's at least 3 or 4 guys that made the game, and there's one female speaking. Let's move on now. Also, you also don't want to select the all female protagonists in video games to the point where you're basically giving Barbies to your little girl, and that's it. Like, yeah, the pink aisle, which I guess with the shutdown of Toys R Us is less of a thing that will be talked about, although it still certainly exists in other toy stores. The pink aisle, the aisle that's all dolls and all girls. Like, we don't want a video game equivalent of the pink aisle, and we already kind of have that. There's a ton of horse simulating games that are directly targeted at girls, and like some of the games where you're supposed to serve food in fast order. Some of those food serving games are definitely focused towards girls. And we don't want that. We don't want segregation, inherently. Is the best way to say it. Video games, for the most part, are pretty gender neutral, and if you have, for instance, a Lego game, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, you should feel perfectly fine giving that to your little girl as well as a little boy to play. There really shouldn't be any difference there. That was part of my dislike of the Lego Friends series, but now that it's been out for a while, the Lego Friends series has actually added considerable pieces to the Lego collection in general. It became a real good example where they could redo some very old pieces and do them better, and because of that, everybody benefited, and some of the standard creator expert builds and just regular builds have started using Lego Friends pieces where it makes sense, and they look better because of it. The only thing that I really have a problem with now with the Lego Friends series is it still feels like it is geared towards girls a little too much, to the point where I don't think little boys would want to get those sets, and I really don't like the dolls instead of minifigs. I feel like that was a big jump that I don't know if I really will ever like. But on the other hand, if the numbers come back, and they seem to, and it seems like it helps little girls learn to play with Legos, who am I to argue with that? Moving on from talking about Legos though, since that's not video game related too much, there's a game on Steam called New Ice York. Who Froze the City of New Ice York? Who did this? This says it's an action adventure indie violent nudity RPG. To me, it looks like it is a single color game that is some kind of callback to something like a Commodore 64 game. It looks horrible when you actually get into graphics, and the blue cover of it makes me think this is just a extremely low effort game. No discount, $9.99. Like, there's nothing here that would have me suggest that game.
Your magic shall not cease.
Next game we have on Steam is called Seeds of Resilience. Remember, I said most of these games were gonna be terrible. Seeds of Resilience is an early access strategy indie simulation game. It seems like it's almost a Minecraft randomly generated world, kind of hex built, and it seems like you're growing something, but I don't know what it is. It says build a village on a desert island, which it doesn't really look like a desert island or deserted island. It could be deserted island. And prepare for merciless natural disasters. Choose the right items. So it's like a simulation survival thing type game. The graphics look like a 1990s game, something like Diablo, but with no name behind this company, I don't see a reason why you'd want to play this. Also, no reason really for this to have been in early access. It's 15% off for $11.89, and frankly, Ages of Empires out there. There's so many better known games that people should just, for a general knowledge reason, play. It's certainly possible that there's some bootlegs out there or copies or clones of games that are better. Arguably, like, there could have been a better version of Doom out there than Doom was. But because everybody played Doom, that's the one kind of everybody should have played. Like, should play now in retrospect at least. You don't need to find this obscure games that maybe they're slightly better but highly unlikely. And Seeds of Resilience feels like it is a game that maybe would be slightly better than some of the 90s strategy simulation games, but it doesn't seem like that would really matter. There's no real relevancy now to playing those type of games. Next game we have on Steam is called Platonor, Platonir, and it's like platformer, I guess, without an F, and the ONIR part is capitalized for some reason. It says Platonor is a hardcore platformer game. Try to open all the game levels, and then it shows some basic visual assets, and I don't see anything here that really looks like it's a hardcore platformer. The only thing I could guess is maybe the controls are really floaty or bad. There's like nothing here. 25 Steam achievements, and the Steam achievements are letters, and whenever you see the Steam achievements or as letters, that's a trick to get people to buy your game so they can spell out things in their achievement badge. It's 40% off for 59 cents, so you can see Platonor is just a extremely low effort game. That's it for the Asian account. Let's now switch over to the European account. There's also a deluxe edition that gives you something. Yeah, right, though. I haven't seen some of the spammers that were flooding Steam with garbage. I haven't seen any of them post a game in a while, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe very quietly Steam kicked them off of Steam. Valve kicked them off of Steam without telling anybody, and without an uproar being made. So we need to play a bunch of spells and battle cries. That screams mage. So we need to create a mage deck spells. And this. Wonder if that will even do anything, because everything's going to cost see, this says your spells cost 1 less. Hearthstone's going to do a lot of things to change cards so that they are more in line and make more sense. I'm not sure if people are going to like that or not, but we'll see. A couple polymorphs. Flame strike. That. Got like 7 more. We'll throw in some battle cries. There we go. That's a quick and dirty mage brawl. Gamatsu has an article, Digimon Thanksgiving 2018 special meeting and latest game report live stream set for July 29th. I don't believe the United States Thanksgiving lines up with July 29th.
Jane versus Lunara.
So,
Forest fights back.
and I don't
You
believe
asked for it.
Japan has a Thanksgiving, so I don't know why they're scheduling that for there. But this is kind of an announcement of an announcement. They must literally mean the phrase Thanksgiving, as in giving thanks. There will be a game introduction part and an anime part, and they I believe came out with a yokai cell phone game recently, which Yokai Watch is much more recent than Digimon, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a announcement of some kind of cell phone game for Digimon.
Time goes
It's
short.
not realistic that there would be too much done as far as the console game. Like, maybe they'd make a Switch game, a cheaply made console game like that. Let's see. Just play this, and then play this. Let's see, I could probably right now.
Time runs out on me.
Let's see. If I possibly win. We've got a game on Steam called Epic Helicopter. It's Flappy Bird. It's an asset flip. You're flying in a helicopter, flying in between buildings that are both upside down and right side up, just like Flappy Bird. Certainly took people a while to make Flappy Bird clones on Steam, because Flappy Bird came out and was super popular like at least a year ago, and some poor suckers, a lot of poor suckers frankly, thought that it would still be popular when this came out. And I don't think this is just easily done either. Like, maybe somebody has a Flappy Bird example on the Unity store, and so it's just a matter of copying and pasting Unity store assets onto a Flappy Bird example, and that's it. But clearly there's no reason to buy this game. $6.99 with no discount. Alright, here's the article. PC Gamer. Blizzard is adjusting several Hearthstone minions to make them more consistent. The tweak will bring the cards in line with player expectations.
The light shall bring victory.
You asked for
So, Molten Giant is going to be an elemental now instead of just a non-minion. That makes a lot of sense, and I cannot complain about that. I think every character should be in some kind of character class. Let's see, what else? I don't want to really read this article because it's not super expensive. It's too long, frankly. Apparently they're changing the art of the Witchwood Grizzly.
time runs out on me.
Let's see. Let's go to Hearthstone's own websites and see what else there is to talk about. This. Yeah, Molten Giant's gonna be an elemental. Mountain Giant's gonna be an elemental. Witchwood Piper is going to be a demon. The North Sea Kraken is going to be a beast. Okay, that makes sense. It closes the door of there ever being a Kraken series, or they're going to have to split the beasts into a Kraken series. Which I'm not sure I'd like that. The Jungle Moonkin is now not going to be a beast.
I hope you like my invention.
So, Jungle Moonkin is a druid-only card, 4 mana, 4 attack, 4 defense. It was a beast. It has both players have spell damage +2. Now it's just a regular minion. It says, while visually very beast-like, Moonkin are in fact intelligent humanoids. We currently have 2 collectible Moonkin in Hearthstone, Darkmire Moonkin and Jungle Moonkin. And I guess this is more of a lore issue. Seems kind of ridiculous to me to do that, but whatever. It says, we agree with the overall community feedback that Moonkin should not be beast for consistency's sake. Moonkin will no longer be classified as beast. So apparently the general community didn't like that. Spectral beast cards like Witchwood Grizzly and Arthas, are they beast or not? And let's see. Since the power levels remain essentially unchanged, we'll not offer full arcane dust refunds for any of those changes. So it seems like they're not even changing Arthas, and it seems like they're just changing the Witchwood Grizzly art. Not a lot of changes there. I don't think this shifts the meta greatly. But I don't like the precedent that this adds, that they're gonna just constantly tinker with things. Like, I kind of preferred Hearthstone's old way of doing it, the Ben Brode way, I'd describe it, where you just do a card and then you live with it, and if it becomes a major problem, you change it in a quarterly fashion. Now it feels like they're changing in a monthly fashion, and small little changes seem to be kind of irritating. It doesn't feel like that would push anybody to play Hearthstone. Is that, oh yes, they're making small little changes to cards that don't matter once a month. That would only push people away. The number one thing about, the number 2 thing about Magic the Gathering was the fact that they were constantly phasing out and banning old cards and then creating just new versions of the same card with different artwork and different names so that you had to buy them again. Excuse me. The number one problem of Magic the Gathering, of course, is that it was just too expensive of a place of a game. We've got a game on Steam called Exposure. It's one of these PT-esque clones. In fact, it looks very much like PT. And the graphics don't look bad, but it also is suffering from dark screenshot syndrome. So every single thing here is just really, really dark.
You asked for it.
Exposure is a story-driven first-person horror survivor game. Find the connection between your wife's death and the mystery of the past. Be careful, the road to truth might expect. Truth, you can expect anything. On the road to truth, you can expect anything. 15% off for $2.54. And I think at that price, I'm willing to give this one a watch. There's 5 user reviews already, so this game has a chance of getting some more reviews. And once it gets those more reviews, then I can reevaluate it. Let's see, moving on. Gametsu has an article, Bullet Girls Fantasia reverse interrogation gameplay. These interrogation scenes usually mean groping minigames. It says, warning, the following content is not safe for work. So I don't know what reverse interrogation means. Seems like the girls are torturing and teasing you. I'm looking at an anime girl who's putting a pacifier supposedly in your mouth. I'm looking through the eyes of the character. And then it seems like the player just clicked on her nose. And now the same anime girl is just poking you. These are kind of silly. This feels like this is a spoof of when she just grabbed your head and lifted you. Now I'm looking at a different anime girl who's slapping you. This is kind of ridiculously funny. So the anime girl that's slapping you now is kind of, I think, just in a bra or a swimsuit, and so she's slapping you, and when she slaps you, she's shifting the camera angle to the right where another anime girl is, and it's showing her underwear, her pantsuit as it's called. So this is kind of femdom fantasy here, where the female is the dominant one, and it seems like you're actually in the game getting to pick like what she does to you next. Seems like she might be burning you with a hot boiled egg. I don't know if that's safe. I've never heard of this. Or like a hot stone or something. This is pretty ridiculous, though. I like it. I like the idea of reversing what usually are just some very pathetic and obvious groping mini games and turning it the other direction. I'm not sure that there's a ton of Japanese people that want to be dominated by females, like males in general. More often than not, don't want the females to be dominant, but there certainly is a subculture and a niche that enjoys that, and it's more funny than anything else. So yeah, we'll see if that reverse interrogation gameplay comes to the West, or if Bullet Goer's Fantasia comes to the West. Let's see if it's coming out for PS4 and Vita on August 9th in Japan, as well as Southeast Asia with English subtitles. So they're doing the Southeast Asia with English subtitles trick so that they don't actually have to release it in Europe or the United States, and people, the small amount of people that would want to play a game like this, people, maybe me included, can just import it and pay a higher import price, which allows them to keep the price for games like this really high in Japan and Asia, which is their market that they care about. A great example of price manipulation in the Japanese industry is the Neon Genesis Evangelion Blu-rays that went on sale for like limited edition for like $500, and people bought them in Japan. Well, because of that, they never released an English Blu-ray of Neon Genesis Evangelion at all, and so because if they released it in the United States or the West, it would have to be a lot cheaper than that, and if it was a lot cheaper, then the Japanese people would just reverse import it back into Japan and they wouldn't get those sales. So price manipulation certainly is a thing. Moving on. SNK 40th Anniversary Collection launches November 13th in North America and November 16th in Europe, according to Gematsu. Let's see, what games are included? Alpha Mission, Athena, Chrysalis, Akira Warriors, Akira 3, The Rescue, Guerrilla War, POW, Prehistoric Isle in 1930, Psycho Soldiers, Street Smart, TNK 2, Vanguard, Victory Road, and more games to be announced. That does not bode well as far as the list of games when I did not recognize a single one of those names. SNK, sort of a very old video game company, but I don't know if they really were breakout hits in the West. I think maybe they were bigger arcade makers than anything else, and that might explain why. I'm looking at the video and it's explaining a lot of these games, and they're simplistic scrollers mostly, whether it's a side scroller or a scroll up the screen tanker game. Yeah, I probably played at least one of these games in an arcade once, but none of them are at a level that I know their name or have any desire to play. Chrysalis looks like it's a JRPG.
Reporting for duty. And
this is, I think, only coming to the Switch. So yeah, I don't think there's too much there. Like, most people are not gonna want that collection, and most people with Switch in particular, I don't think are gonna want that collection. We've got a game on Steam called DERE space evil.exe.
Do you like to play with fire?
Says Dear Evil.exe is both a terrifying thriller and gripping meta horror story, and a retro 16-bit platformer with unique puzzles and obstacles. Immediately when I think that there's two very different genres of a game combined, that's a problem. That shows a lack of direction in your gameplay design. I'm looking here and it looks like it's an 8-bit Super Meat Boy-esque platformer. It's not it doesn't seem like it's incredibly fast in all instances. This feels probably like it's a game that was handed over to somebody else and then they decided to do something completely different. Or a game designed to hit like all the tags: indie, action, adventure, simulation, horror. There's frankly too many horror games out on this. It's allegedly rated teen by the ESRB. I'm not sure I believe that. But also the ESRB was allowing you to self-rate your games and self-certify them if they was being sold online. And they're going to stop doing that eventually. Deary Evil.exe is 40% off for 59 cents. And while the graphics don't look horrible, there's really nothing here that gives me any confidence that this game is anything but a low effort, flop kind of scam of game. Like, I don't like to use the phrase scam very often, but just like, this is just doesn't feel like it's designed to be quality. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. It's a blog, Dead Body Falls, shaping narrative through level design. Apparently Dead Body Falls is a game. It looks like it's a possible point and click adventure game or a 3D adventure game.
I wonder.
And I guess it was because of the screenshot that I saw of a hallway that is half a regular hallway and half full of trees that it caught my attention. Yeah, this is Black River Studios, writing a Brazilian company that made the VR game called Dead Body Falls in 2017, and now they're just writing a blog to promote their own game. And it's kind of... Gamasutra frankly needs some controls over that. They need somebody that looks at certain articles and says, no, we're not going to let you write a blog that is just a advertisement for your game. That's not what we're doing here. But sadly, it is what they're doing here. Moving on, PC Gamer, Sega explains why Shenmue 1 and 2 run at 30 Hz on PC. The re-release will also have full mouse and keyboard support. As I understand it, the game engine is the problem. There, that the rendering engine and the game engines are tied together, so you can't increase the graphics to 60 Hz without also doubling the speed in which every action occurs, every step, every mouth movement, everything. Let's see. Throughout the engine, game code, and scripts, the quote here is, throughout the engine, game code, and scripts, there are hard-coded assumptions about a fixed 30 Hz frame rate, frame update rate, which means the games need to run at 30 Hz. Likewise, for technical reason, Sega has chosen to port Shenmue 2 Xbox iterations as opposed to the Dreamcast variant. The former includes features absent from the latter, says Sega, such as snapshot system filters, texture, mini-maps, which improve anti-aliasing and better visuals. So not much of a PC Gamer article. Not kind of surprising either, though. With this being 4th of July, I wouldn't be surprised if they took some extra time off and left early, and we're getting some more of these generic articles. Unfortunately, PC Gamer also gave us a lot of generic articles right after E3, so June and July is just not a good month as far as what they're writing. Moving on, Bungie discusses Destiny 2 Forsaken's darker narrative. This is a PC Gamer article also. Most of the articles today are, for some reason. at least they put something out. It seems like everybody else didn't bother to do that. On my Twitter, it still is, like, I've muted so many people now, there's barely any updates now. Like, I'm scrolling down the feed looking for new content and there's just nothing there. Like, I don't care about Destiny 2, so Destiny 2 Forsaken is scheduled to go live on September 4th. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Like, it's gonna have darker narrative, so if you wanted the darker stories in Destiny 2, you'll probably be happy. If you didn't want that, you're probably upset. In almost a similar way, Rock Paper Shotgun has an article. Rocket League celebrates its 3rd anniversary next week. It's going to have some kind of retro playfield. Rocket League is 50% off on the Steam summer sale right now. I'd love to have Rocket League. That really is one of those games, though, that I think somebody would have to gift me because it's such a multiplayer game. I could see myself maybe trying to cover news while playing Rocket League, but I don't know if that would really work well.
Runs out on me.
Job done.
Rocket League does have kind of loot boxes and microtransactions in it, despite the fact that it's pretty well beloved. That's also a thing to consider. Rock Paper Shotgun has an article, the 20 best management games on PC, and let's see what their list is. So this is one of these pages that you have to click forward to see each one. So there's 22 impressions you have to give them. Let's see, do I have a battle cry deck? Yeah, there's a battle cry shaman deck. Let's try that. So number 20 is Transport Tycoon Deluxe from 1994. 19 is The Settlers 2 from 1996. I was talking earlier about one of these, how do they call them, management games? I guess that's a good name. Most of them are really old, from the 90s, and they haven't been replaced because they worked just fine back then and people have nostalgia for them, so there's not going to be a big replacement. 18 is an exception to that. Prison Architect from 2015. City Skylines is 17 for 2015. I tried to play that. Evil Genius is 2004. Evil Genius, every time I look at it, it seems like it's a little bit buggy. And a game you probably won't make it to the end game on. First time I played it for a while and then it gave me trouble or something and I quit playing it. I do want to play Evil Genius at some point in the future, but I don't know for how long. It takes too long. All these management games generally take too long. 15 is Championship Manager Season 01/02, which is a football soccer manager, so I guess that would be the one to play if I was going to ever play a soccer management game, which I probably wouldn't. Not likely to happen there. Let's take that. 2014 is Surviving Mars. Sorry. Number 14 is Surviving Mars from 2018. Or Frostpunk, two games that are pretty extremely similar in my head. I didn't even realize Surviving Mars and Frostpunk were the different games. Frostpunk is number 13 from 2018. The Sims 2 is from 2004. It is available. Notice it's not The Sims 3, or if they're up to The Sims 4, I don't think they are yet. So there's something to be taken from that. By the way, The Sims removed themselves from being purchased. Sims 3, I believe, or whatever the latest one, removed themselves from being purchased in China and several other Muslim-based countries. I guess China is not a Muslim-based country considering it's a officially atheist communist country, but yeah. The question is kind of why right now. There's certainly things that people wouldn't have liked in those countries. The fact that you can have men can get pregnant, they allowed that. Men and women can wear the other gender's clothes. You can have a baby out of marriage. You can have homosexual relationships. So several things that are literally illegal in those countries have been in the games for a while. But apparently something happened somewhere where they decided, they were told they couldn't sell those games anymore. Doesn't really matter. It's not like the United Arab Emirates was a huge market for video games. I imagine people are just pirating or importing those games. But this EA Maxis group has been extremely progressive on letting people play any way they want, and I can't really disagree with them. It's like, if somebody wants to play that way, that's fine, as long as you're not shoving it in people's faces. And I don't feel like Sims was ever really shoving it into people's faces. There's simply saying, if you want to play this way, we'll let you play this way. Whereas so many other SJWs would try to push narratives where you can't play as a straight white male in The Sims. That's just not allowed. Like, they're anti something instead of pro something. And if you're anti anything, then I'm probably not going to be on your side. But if you're pro something, that's fine. Fine with me, at least. Moving on, though, I want to get into a rant. I say that more often than I actually get into rants nowadays. I don't know if maybe I should sacrifice some of my mental stability and actually get into rants more often. Let's see. Let's move on. Next they have Tropico 5, the 2014 game. It was number 11, so apparently the Tropico series is more quality than I thought it was. Number 10, Rock Paper Shotgun has vanished. I may, as I get in the top 10, realize though that this list is just BS though, and maybe I disagree with it. Like, honestly, I've just barely heard about Banished, and I don't think it deserves to be in the top 10. Number 9 is Factorio. Certainly I've given thoughts about playing the 2012 game Factorio. Let's do this. And then I'm supposed to be playing battle cry cards. There's one management game I want to play that's like Factorio. I don't know if it's going to be Factorio or Magnum Opus or Shinsen.io. I could see myself picking Shinsen.io or Magnum Opus a lot more than Factorio though. But I really only have enough time to play one management game. We have a game called RimWorld from 2013, which looks very similar to Prison Architect, so I don't know if that game is the same game or a clone or what. Next is Planet Coaster 2016. I don't think I'd ever want to do that. Number 6 is Stardew Valley. I definitely didn't enjoy Stardew Valley.
Engaging
Battlecry
TC-130 mental dislocator.
I tried really hard to like Stardew Valley, but I just don't think I like farming. Number 5 is Startopia of 2001, and at this point I feel like this list is BS. It doesn't seem like it's the right ones. Number 4 is Anno 1404, aka Dawn of Discovery. It came out in 2009. Number 3 on the list is Dungeon Keeper. Where do you get Dungeon Keeper though? Where do you download that? Let's see. If you have any intention of playing Dungeon Keeper now, you'll need Keeper FX. This requires a copy of the original game, then cheerfully unlocks all sorts of high resolution as well as building an asset. And so you can buy it at Good Old Games in Origin, but it's
I wonder.
like, that's kind of it. I think I probably do have an original copy of Dungeon Keeper sitting around, but what's the point of even trying to play a game that's not on Steam when I have so many games on Steam? Let's do this.
Takari killed Deathbot.
Who are you?
Let's see, the next game they have is Dwarf Fortress from 2006. Dwarf Fortress to me looks like garbage. It does not look like a 2006 game. And so now I know this whole list is just total BS. It's totally wrong. And then number 1 is Zeus Master of Olympus from 2000. Like, maybe I'll look at Zeus Master of Olympus, but this list was total BS. It's not the games I was expecting, and frankly, what I'm expecting should have been there. Things like Command and Conquer, things like Ages of Empire, things that people would have nostalgia for. Zeus plus Poseidon is what it's called on Steam apparently, and it's rated very positive. 94% of 188 reviews in the last 30 days. So yeah, I'll put this on my wish list to keep an eye on. It's 50% off right now for $4.99. Looks like a real old game for something that claims it came out in 2016. Yep, and that is certainly a reason why I don't enjoy looking at Rock Paper Shotgun. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article. The French gambling regulator determines that loot boxes are not legally gambling. They're a lot like gambling, and that's problematic, and something should be done, but they're not quite over the line. This subtitle on their article is not quoted or attributed to anybody, so I'm assuming it's just PC Gamer saying that directly and editorializing it. But enough bribes, I guess, happened so that the French would not say it's gambling. Speaking of enough bribes happening, it looks like We Happy Few is now going to be rated 18 plus in Australia and get a release. Their appeal, like I'm jokingly speculating that bribes happened. I have no real evidence of that, but I'm joking. But yes, We Happy Few is coming to Australia. I'm sure the Australian people are a little bit happy with that. I think the Australian people though need to pass some different laws and contact their local representatives on the censorship board that they have and the way things are done in Australia. Australia sometimes is a little bit more conservative than you would think, just randomly guessing. So I figure between taking a long break I've gone probably over an hour now. So I'm going to end the recording here and make another recording. And then that'll probably be it. We'll just go through the news and try to burn through it fast. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description. The Steam Summer Sale is still going on, so please support me by friending me on Steam and gifting me a game or a gift card. Pick any game you want or pick a game off my wish list. Either one would be helpful. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.